You know that classic image of a classroom, right? Kids sitting at desks, totally quiet. But what if that's all wrong? What if the best way to learn is actually to get up, move around, build things, and yeah, even to fail? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. This incredible idea called the Kinetic Classroom.
All right, so first things first, let's really dig into the core of the problem. Why is that old school model, just sitting still and listening, why is it so often, well, kind of the worst way for our brains to actually soak things up? And look, it might sound like a pretty bold question, but we've got to ask it. I mean, does a system that was literally designed for the industrial age still work for us today in a world that's all about innovation and being able to adapt on the fly? All the signs are pointing to one thing. We need to completely rethink what a classroom should even be. Okay, so check this out. This is really the heart of it. On one hand, you've got passive learning. That's what we're used to, right? Listening, memorizing, spitting it back out. But on the other side, you've got active learning, and that's a whole different ball game. It's about investigating, doing stuff, and this is huge, learning from your mistakes. It's basically the difference between watching a game from the sidelines and actually being on the field playing.
So if sitting around passively is the problem, what's the fix? Well, it's about flipping the whole script. We need to go from a classroom full of listeners to, like, a workshop full of creators. It's all about learning by doing.
And the main way to do this is something called project-based learning, or PBL for short. The secret is right there in the name, projects. We're not talking about some fake hypothetical exercise. We're talking about students diving into real-world projects that actually mean something to them. Seriously, just picture this for a second. Instead of sitting through a boring 45-minute lecture about water quality, what if a class spent, say, 3 weeks actually investigating the health of a local river? You know, going out, taking samples, talking to actual experts, and then building a real proposal to show their city council? See the difference? They're not just learning about science, they're being scientists. It's a total game changer.
And you know, the process itself isn't even that complicated when you break it down. First, you start with a real, messy challenge, something you can't just find the answer to in the back of a book. Then, the students team up to dig into it from every possible angle. And finally, and this is the best part, they don't just write a paper, they actually create and present a real, tangible solution.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work? Well, let's take a look at the science behind it, because the data is pretty amazing, and it shows this isn't just some nice idea. It's a proven, super effective method that's backed by solid research.
All right, this right here is the absolute key. This finding comes from randomized trials. We're talking the gold standard of research, and it's kind of mind-blowing. It turns out that students who are allowed to do and fail actually end up outperforming kids in traditional classrooms. Think about that phrase, do and fail. Suddenly, failure isn't the end, it's just part of the process. It builds resilience, and it teaches you that your first try is just a starting point, not some final judgment on you.
And when you look at the results from those trials, it's just crystal clear. We're not talking about students doing a little bit better in these active classrooms. Nope, it's a huge difference. It proves this whole approach isn't just about making school more fun or engaging, it's about being more effective. It leads to a much deeper understanding that actually sticks with you.
But honestly, it goes way beyond just getting better test scores. The real magic of learning this way is in the kinds of skills it develops. We're talking about the skills you actually need to survive and thrive in our crazy, complex modern world.
Here's a great way to think about it. Critical thinking is like a muscle. You can't get stronger by watching somebody else lift weights, right? And you can't become a critical thinker just by reading a book about it. It's a skill, a muscle, and you have to actually use it over and over again for it to get stronger. So which muscles are we talking about strengthening here? Oh, just the most important ones. Communication gets a major workout because students have to constantly present, defend, and debate what they're doing. And critical thinking? It's getting flexed 24/7 because there are no easy answers. They have to figure it out, analyze messy information, and build their own path to a solution.
And really, this brings us right back to the main point. These essential skills for the 21st century, you just can't develop them by sitting passively in a chair. No way. They're forged in the heat of action, of debate, of working together, and of actually creating something. You've got to do the thing to really get it.
So, let's just end with this one question, because it really sums up the whole debate. Should we be teaching students what to think or how to think? Is the goal of school just to cram their heads full of facts, or is it to give them the tools to analyze, create, and solve problems for their entire lives? The Kinetic Classroom? Well, it makes a pretty powerful case for the how.